Good morning, everyone. It's Petty Officer Romero. Welcome to Job Corps and some training. And what we're doing today is we're going to discuss security, physical security, even maybe even a little cyber security, and what it actually means, what the basics of what is it that you do. All right. One of the things that in this lesson we will define physical security and related items and concepts, loss prevention, occurrence probability, loss prevention, everything that, what does a security officer do? What is your responsibilities? And it encompasses a bunch. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just basically go over real quick the ETAR of this particular class, this curriculum. And the reason I'm going to do that as I hide this information is so that I can give you a basic idea of, you know, what it is that you do when you become a security officer. There's all kinds of things that we've talked about in career opportunities, anything from bounty hunting, which is probably the most dangerous, at least in my opinion, of the positions that you can take as a security, loss prevention person, all the way to just being more of an observation security officer at, let's say, a mall or a maybe a office building or something that like that. So let's talk about things like, let's see here, crisis intervention. Now that'll be something where, it doesn't matter where you're at. If you are a security officer, you could be walking through the mall or just observing in a office building and run into someone who's having an emotional crisis, and you'd have to be able to identify that. You'll learn how to do patrols. You'll learn how to do traffic control, public events. It could be a concert, could be a truck and tractor pull, or any kind of event that you think might help or that you might be participating in. Let's see, surveillance, understanding closed circuit TV systems, security cameras, alarm systems, access control. You'd have to be at least minimally understand the importance and I don't know but self-defense. I went as far as trying to teach how to observe a person's behavior to understand when you may be in a position to be attacked. Okay, you can tell by someone's behavior when they're going to run, when they're going to come after you, or a combination of both, or whatever it may take. Access control, alarm systems, crime scenes. Okay, so when something does happen, how are you going to be able to evaluate the situation and preserve that scene for the police when they arrive, and how to interact with and communicate with police officers, how to do a good job so that the police look at you and say, man, that's a valuable member of the team, the law enforcement team. You may not work directly with them, but at least from my personal perspective, I would want to, if I was a security officer, I would want to do the job so well that I would have a personal relationship with the police officers, so that if something did happen, that I would have a network of people that I could work with that would understand that I am a professional, that I do things the right way, and that if they called upon me, that they knew that I would do things in a way that best benefited the situation and helped them. All right, so moving along here, some other things we talked about, loss prevention, even as far as like how to deal with explosives. If you come across in your patrol, all of a sudden you see something that looks like some type of IED or improvised explosive device, or a bomb of some sort, or something that looked, because are you the expert? Can you identify when you see a bomb or something that's something that you would need to at least have a minimal understanding of, what you're looking for, what you're looking at. Okay. let's see, fire prevention. You're part of most companies. If you're walking around doing your patrols, they're going to expect you to give them a heads up if there's some type of issue with fire prevention. One of the things about a security officer is it's about being prepared when something does happen, but you spend a lot of time when things aren't happening, and that's maybe the most difficult part, is because you don't know when the fight's coming, so sometimes you let down your guard, right? But how do you stay active? How do you stay prepared? And that's when you are on your patrols, having more assignments than just walking around and checking off that this door was locked, okay? So there might be assignments about safety. There might be assignments that the company gives you about fire control, making sure that and fire prevention, detection, and response. You might be responsible for putting that program together, at least following up with the program, in the sense that, okay, you're responsible for making sure that all the fire extinguishers are checked off and have been, the fire department has come and done their annual inspection, or if it's twice a year or whatever. You look at the tag, you make sure it's been checked off, and you move on to the next one. Report it if it's not, okay? Let's see. We talked about strikes and labor relations, okay? So, workplace violence, crime at your business, meaning whether it's someone stealing, supplies, or stealing something from your warehouse, or, which is a little bit on a more difficult level, embezzlement and things like that, trying to at least have some sort of eye on things, knowing when something may be unusual. It's just very hard to tell when an accountant might be stealing. I mean, people do it. Some of the criminals who do that, they get away with it for years because there's simply no real way, especially for someone who's not physically looking at the person working, looking at their work to determine how, what they're doing. So, but I have had situations where people in accounting might order something. When I say accounting, in the administrative offices who have access to credit cards and accounts and stuff, they might order something. So if all of a sudden you start seeing things come into receiving, from Amazon or something that, it's some earbuds. I'm like, that's strange. And then next thing you know, it's, I don't know, name any kind of thing I'm looking around here, video games that, maybe they ordered something for their kids. You start seeing things like this come through, and then you have to ask yourself, why? Okay. So part of being a security officer or a police officer is always asking a question, why? Why? Who, when, where, why? Why? Why is this happening? Why are we doing this? So anyway, let's see, disaster control, emergency response. If something does happen, do you have any idea what you're going to do when it does happen? Okay. The equipment that you're going to need, when something goes down, use of force. What are you allowed to do? What are you trained to do? Do you know how to interview a witness? Do you know how to investigate, a crime or an incident that happened? So all of these things are part of being a security officer, and you need to be proficient at it, right? Okay, so back to the ETAR, and then we need to identify and describe major steps in physical security planning. Well, I kind of mentioned before, you're talking about access control. What is the main thing that a security officer does? And that's you want to control your environment, right? You want to create an environment where people can come and work and operate in a safe environment. So that means that you have control over the fence around the building, the gate, the wall, whatever. That means you have control over who comes into your area and know who exits your area. In other words, you have access control, right? Then the next thing is knowing if the people who come into your area, are they authorized to come into your area, or they or like, were they invited? Are they a vendor? Are they a guest? Are they an employee? Obviously. So controlling and knowing what's going on in your facility is a major part of security planning. And then the next step is, how do you do it? Because different companies, you might get a job where some company decides they want to have a security team on site, but maybe they didn't really budget for security cameras and key fobs on the door and things like that. So, you have to work with what's presented to you. So, that's something that you have to consider. All right. Describe the benefits and limitations of access card system, locking hardware, closed circuit TV. And I think I was kind of hitting on that. Obviously, the benefits is the more technology you have, the more control you have. And it goes back to the beginning of this most recent conversation. If you have key fobs, that means that you don't have to have a security officer standing in front of the door to let people in and out. Now, generally speaking, you have a key fob, because the fact of the matter, if somebody wants to get in, they can get a key fob, or they can follow someone else in, meaning that you have a legitimate employee who swipes their card and the door opens, and you have someone who shouldn't be there who jumps right in after them, right? So you generally, if you're going to go with a key fob system, because there's no one there to prevent someone from an unauthorized access to that door, you're going to definitely want to have it combined with a camera, right? So that you can see, you can have one guard looking at the door, you can have them looking at the gate, you can have them looking at, based on the setup and TVs that they have for the entire complex. If you just sit there and you just have a key fob, who knows, someone loses a card, someone finds it, or maybe an employee sells the card to somebody or gives the card to somebody. So then they come, I lost my card. They get a new card. Is the old one deactivated? So the point is that if you have the technology, you can have one person in a central control area that can see multiple things. And if they see that, wait, why is that person, who is that person coming in after the employee, and they didn't have a key fob, then you can call security that you have on patrol to the area, or call the police, right? So one way or another, that's what we want to do. Or actually, that's how that situation can evolve, where using technology helps increase your security. And while it might be a greater initial cost, and maybe this, as a security officer, the more technology, then the less physical security police officers you need. And, that reduces job opportunities. But at the same time, it's creating a more efficient system. Okay. Describe how to record and retain information gathering during surveillance operations. All right. So obviously, we talked about taking notes, copious notes. We know how to do that. We want to continue to make sure that we understand taking notes is probably the single most important part of your job. So we always want to make sure that we are taking detailed notes of any situation that's out of the ordinary, because you never know when that situation will come up and you will have to deal with it. So answer to someone above you why this happened, when this happened. You didn't realize that this door, the lock was broken on it, and it's been broken apparently for 3 months, and you never reported it, right? Or obviously the more obvious ones is someone broke a window, came in, and but it's little things that you have to be on top of, and you have to take copious notes. So there's everything that you need to know for ETAR Item L, physical security, from the basics of physical security to defining it, to understand the concepts, all the different types of security jobs, because there are countless types of positions, like I said, from bounty hunting to cybersecurity to stand in front of a store to ensure to be a deterrent, right? Identifying the major steps in planning your security. Define and describe the benefits of all the different technology that is involved and available, and then and of course note taking, and I mean just the basics of security. So everything you need to know about being a security guard, and your ETAR Item L right here in this video. And we'll talk to you next time for Job Corps. This is Petty Officer Romero.